Hi, guys. Welcome. It is Tuesday. I was not on last week, so it's been a little bit. Allergy season is trying to kill me. So we'll hope that this goes well. I'm here in Berkeley on a lovely sunny day, just enjoying the weather, not enjoying the pollen, but the weather, warmth weather is good. Anyway, I'm here. What did I do today? I did some coaching. There's a pencil under my foot. I did some coaching and now then I did some baking and now I'm doing some living with you guys. Getting ready. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas next week. So getting ready to be out of town for a bit. Always mixed feelings about leaving town. I like travel and then I also miss my routine. So that's what's going on. And hey, Jujubee. And I am enjoying. What is this? I was enjoying a little sugar-free kombucha from Hum. This one is let's see, it's a lower sugar kombucha, so it's got still not nothing in the carbs, but yeah. Anyway, just trying it out. And here for the questions. I was thinking a lot about a OA program that I did like a decade ago. That was interesting. I also found my blood work from a decade ago. Have you guys ever found really old blood work? So this is the only blood work that I have from pre-keto. So very interesting to find. I think when I took the blood work, like I knew a little bit about keto at the time, but like but I don't think, like looking at the timing, I don't think I was keto yet. So that was interesting. Um, and I'm glad to, anyway, so one of the things that was on that blood work that was really interesting is the first health problem that I got diagnosed with when I went to see that doctor was being hypothyroid. And my reverse T3 was like 600, I think. It was over, no, sorry, it was like 300 something. It's currently 12, so that's a big difference. So all of my T4 was being converted to reverse T3 apparently at the time. So that's when I started taking thyroid medication. So that was a really interesting thing to see the actual thyroid numbers from back then. Because at this point, I don't have a reverse T3 problem, but I certainly did. Melinda says, "Do I think the iodine test on your skin is good? Mine disappeared in like 6 hours." I don't honestly know if that's a useful test or not. I would get a urine iodine test myself if I really wanted to know my iodine status. Blood work is super important. I wrote a book about it. So, blood work is super important. We've got Common Sense Labs here, which when I take it out, it turns me orange every time. See? Um, there's a light behind the anyway. There's a light that anyway. Um, I don't have a filter on. I don't know how to use filters. If I did, I would be more chiseled. Um, so yeah, good book. No, so in this book, we talk about things like nutrition status, things that are important, and I think iodine you probably want to get tested. Most things you can get tested in blood, but I think the urine iodine is pretty effective. Um, and so I think that having good markers, knowing where you are, again, super important. Um, here we go. So, yeah, so I don't know, just talk about things before people have questions. Please ask your questions if you got them. But yeah, I was super interested to see that, what different markers were. One of the really interesting things I saw over time is I'm currently have the lowest A1C that I've ever had, but not the lowest insulin I've ever had. And that kind of makes sense in terms of the insulin. It's not high, but it's been as low as in the fours. Um, because I eat more carbs now than I used to. But interestingly, my A1C is lower. It's interesting how the body goes. I mean, my A1C has been fine for a long time. It's not in a dangerous area. It's just interesting how these things like tend to balance. Um, one of the things that I started testing, talking to Dr. Barry years ago, was C-peptide, not just insulin. And I really do think that C-peptide might be a better test than just fasting insulin. I think the concept of fasting insulin is a really important test, but I have noticed that it's noisy. It can fluctuate. Like if I have a bad night of sleep, my insulin's going to be high or than if I had a good night of sleep, right? And it has nothing to do with sort of my nutritional status or what I've been doing there. C-peptide seems a little more stable. So I like getting them both and looking. So if my insulin seems like, well, that seems weird, then I kind of compare it to the C-peptide. Just to give you an idea of what the different things those are measuring, your fasting insulin is measuring how much insulin there still is in your bloodstream after an overnight fast. So if you had a really bad night of sleep, if yesterday you had more carbs than usual, or more stress than usual, or more something than usual, it might be just you might have started with a higher insulin level. And so it hasn't quite gone down as far as it normally does by that time of the day, which means it can be a little noisy. Like I'm not talking about 20 versus 5, I'm talking about like 5 versus 7, right? Small numbers can be a little misleading. But C-peptide, every time you release a molecule of insulin, you also release a molecule of C-peptide. So you can test C-peptide as a proxy for approximately a 24-hour cycle of insulin release, sort of, for that. So that can be very useful because one is sort of like how much is left, and the other one is how much did you produce. And so they can be important to look at differently. Melinda said, how do you help with insulin resistance? So for me, I think for really everybody, that when you're insulin resistant, it means that you are carb intolerant. So one of the best things you can now, it's not always that the carbs cause the insulin resistance, that there can be multiple causes of insulin resistance. You can have certain diseases that cause insulin resistant. You can have certain lifestyle factors, right? There can be a lot of things. But once you are insulin resistant, I think it's just adding insult to injury to try and overdo the carbs. So I definitely think if you're showing signs of any kind of insulin resistance, being on a lowered carb diet is probably the way to go. You're going to cause less harm there as well. And so I would definitely do that. That in and of itself is probably going to be put you on a recovery road towards improving your insulin sensitivity. From there, I think other things that will help with insulin sensitivity will be seeing weight loss if you're overweight. Um, so if you think about a fat cell, when it's full, right? Think about a balloon. When you fill that balloon up all the way, when that cell is really full, um, that's gonna increase insulin resistance. When you lose weight, it's like sucking the air back out of a balloon. So you still have the balloon, but it's deflated. And deflated balloons are better than inflated balloons in this case, because unfortunately you can't reduce you can, but you can't really reduce the number of fat cells. The best thing to do is deflate them. So if you have a lot of overly inflated fat cells, deflating them is going to help with insulin resistance. Then doing things like exercise is going to help with insulin resistance. So it doesn't have to be hard, but just taking a walk every day, taking a couple of short walks every day, getting some, and then the last thing that's really going to help with insulin resistance. I don't mean the last as in it won't. I mean, if I'm making a list, one of the main things that I think can really help with insulin resistance is adding a bit more muscle mass or improving the quality of the muscle you have. So you have some muscle in your body, right? So you can move, if you can move things, you have some. So you can increase the quantity, but you can also just increase the quality because there can be fat inside the muscle, which tends to increase insulin resistance. You want to have that muscle quality be better. So how do you do that? You eat well and you use it. You use that muscle, it's going to get healthier. It will also improve your inflammation markers. So movement, reducing your carbs, and making sure that if you have body fat to lose, right? We don't have to be super skinny. truly, I am not skinny. The only things that are skinny are my fingers. Well, they're a little puffy today. It's kind of hot in here. And my toes. Maybe my feet. They're a little skinny. That's all genetics. um, but the and my hair is pretty thin. Does that count as skinny? I don't know. But the rest of me not skinny. But you can be like, sort of average to overweight and still be insulin sensitive. But if you're very obese, it's going to be really challenging. So I would say you definitely, if you want to address your insulin resistance, want to just edge your way towards the non-obese category. Honestly, to each of you, when you ask me a question, I don't know if you're in that these categories or not. So I'm kind of answering the question for everybody. By the way, wherever you are watching today's stream, if you could please like it, and if you're not subscribed already, or you don't follow, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, please do so. It helps me immensely and it makes me happy. So I would love it. I do have super thanks on YouTube, super chat, all that kind of stuff. If you'd like to contribute, I would love it as well. But just a simple like or follow is thanks enough for me. Hey, Keto Karen, how's it going? Hey, Texas. Linda is going to KetoCon. Fabulous. I'm planning what I'm going to wear. What do you got? Are you planning already? I got a dress. It's a little cleavagey, but I'm going to go with it. I think I've said this before on a live. This is the beauty of being with your boyfriend for decades and you're a middle-aged woman now. I put on something and my boobs are like hanging out. And he's not going with me. Now everyone's gonna be looking at my boobs at KetoCon. Anyway, and he's like, "That looks great. You should wear that." And he's not like, "No, put those away." He's like, "Honey, but wear them." He doesn't say honey. That's not his thing. But like he's like, "Wear it. That's great." Yeah. He doesn't like me looking frumpy, he says. He likes me looking like I'm excited to be places. Anyway, boyfriends, they're good for your soul when they aren't. I don't like a jealous guy. I don't like it. It makes me unhappy. I guess some people feel like a jealous guy makes them feel like cherished or whatever. To me, it just makes me feel like I'm under somebody's thumb. I mean, we all have our preferences. I like it when he's like, "Oh, wear the dress, do the thing, be with the people." Anyway, indeed, it is all about the right support garment. Girl, at my age, there's a lot of hoisting that has to be involved with the sales. It just is. Yeah. I'm gravity. Gravity is not always my friend. Anyway, um, uh, oh, carnivore lasagna for dinner. That sounds delicious. Yeah, you don't really miss the noodles. You don't have to miss the noodles. Ooh, yeah, Jujubee, that's gonna do it. A J. Not quite the J. But I don't know. I just have a theory that those of us who are like, I hope that I lose some boobs when I lose weight, and then we lose weight and we don't lose boobs, we're like, damn it. And then there are these other people who are like, where did they go? They're all gone. I don't understand the difference. Why does it happen so differently to different people? I don't get bodies. Bodies are very confusing. I have a teeny little waist. Well, I mean, for me, again, everything is relative. My leanest section is the rib cage area. So there's more contrast now. I used to be sort of a block, and now I'm like, this is weird. So yeah. Anyway, but I'll take it. I'll take the little waist. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. But yeah. Oh, I don't know that I've had Terry's rice chicken, Nona. That sounds delicious. Hey, Little Rock. Oh, I saw you already, Linda. My folks are from Arkansas. My paternal grandparents. Where are they from? I always forget where they're from. I don't know that it's far from Little Rock. Let me see. I wrote it down once. Let's see if I kept it. Apparently I can never remember like anything. But and the name is just so unfamiliar, right? It's west, not super, 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 anyway, I can never find it. This is boring now for everyone else. All right, back to you guys. Sorry. I just got distracted by things that were coming in. Marmaduke. I like that, Melinda. I like that Marmaduke. I I like that name. Let's see. What else is going on in the world? Just looking for things to talk about here. Um, I think my folks are not that far from Little Rock, but I don't honestly know. It's a very small town they're from. All right, Selena says, when doing a cut, do I focus on doing a 10% drop in weight or lowering my macros? Okay, so let's talk about ways to do a cut to turn my body to cross my legs or else I whack the camera. Um, so a cut, for those of you that are not familiar with the terminology, is when you're trying to lose weight. So a period of time, like we might have traditionally called it a diet, but I don't like the term diet because that is very nebulous. Like it just mean how you generally eat. So a cut, oh my gosh, that's so great, Nona Grace. That's hilarious. Um uh so it's a cut is, a cut weight, right? So when you cut weight, you are looking to, so my preference, and you can do this in a variety of ways, but my preference is I'm going to set up a cut period. So let's say you're 200 pounds and you are like, I would like to weigh less than this. So I would say, hey, let's set up a cut for you. When you're in a cut, I would say, okay, let's do a cut period. So it's a defined period of time. I like 12 weeks. It can be longer, it can be shorter. It should not be shorter than 6 weeks. It's just too short. Because if you only lose a pound or two and then you get out of it, you just feel like you're spinning your wheels. So, and I usually say a good goal for a cut is 10% of your current body weight. So if you were 200 pounds, I would say 20 pounds is a good goal for your level up for that cut. How long that cut then is planned to last, I would say you can define by how fast you're going to go at it. So you've got, like, if you say, okay, I'm going to lose these 20 pounds, and I think point like a 0.5% to 1% is a good range of weight loss a week. So if you're 200 pounds and you're going to lose a 0.5% a week, then that would be losing 1 pound a week. So if you plan your cut to be a 20-pound loss with a 1 pound a week loss rate, then that's a 20-week cut. And I think that's perfectly fine. If you were saying, I want to lose more like 0.75%, then that would be like, say, 1.5, which then might be a 12-week cut, right? So I think 12, like on average, 12 weeks and 10% are good numbers to keep in mind. But everybody, some people are like, I do better slow and steady. And other people are like, I do better if I see quick results. So you have to take that into account, right? So I think both of that. So hopefully that answered your question. Terry asked, is there an unwritten dress code for KetoCon my first time attending? It's all over the board, Terry. I tend to overdress at events, just so you know. But people will probably be there in t-shirts and jeans and shorts, and other people will be there in sundresses. I think wear what makes you happy and comfortable. It's certainly not a suit and tie kind of thing, for sure. But some of us, we work at home in yoga pants. We want to wear a dress. So that's totally acceptable, but so is a message tee and shorts. also acceptable. Whatever you feel most comfortable in. Stephanie says, I do not speak as an official voice. I speak as someone who has attended before, by the way. I currently switched the whole family to keto. It is tough on the kids. They aren't getting what they're used to. I'm trying to help them develop a better relationship with food. Got it. Awesome. So one of the things that I think you can do that will help them develop a better relationship with food is let them have some this is I should not give parenting advice given that I'm not a parent. I will say if I had children, I think this is what I would do. I can't say this is what I would do because that's asinine. I think this is what I would do. I would let them have more like keto treats, sort of transitional type things. Maybe not 100% perfect, but 99% of like 90% of their foods are, whole food, vegetable, uh, meat, yogurt, like Greek yogurt, that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. But, allow some room for keto treats and, creamy ice, like cream, the creamy machine, protein shake ice creams and things like that. So, because I think, sometimes if you screw down the screws too tightly, the pressure cake will blow. But, I think that a healthy food relationship can include some treats, especially if someone is not, trying to lose weight at the time, which I would guess the kids are probably not. And a little flexibility there. So that's something. And I would say another thing I find very helpful for people trying who feel kind of maybe deprived, like you may have taken away goldfish crackers, and that makes them feel like they miss that. But then kind of replacing it with something else that they absolutely love, like maybe they really love cheese or steak or kind of like making the meals kind of fancier for a while, even if it's not fancy. It could be bunless burgers. Like I love a burger, I've always loved burgers, but now it's like having burgers all the time, it makes me happy. Even though I don't have a bun with them or I have a keto bread with them instead. um Jujubee says new PCM thinks I might have a hyperparathyroidism. Calcium is low. My neuromeds increase calcium. Got it. So you're on meds where you should have higher than average calcium. You have lower than average calcium. Yeah, that's always good to take into account. Yeah, I think getting some good blood tests is a good idea. Hey, Nona Grace, I remember Marmaduke, the comic strip. I don't think it was modern when I was a kid, but I certainly remember the big dog, Marmaduke. My mom grew up down the street from Howdy Doody. So not that that's related, but anyway. Um, who the guy who did made Howdy Doody. Howdy Doody not being a real person. Anyway, Jujubee says, I'm in limbo waiting for lab. She can't send me to the endocrinologist and something is wrong. Yeah, gotta love yeah, it can be a slow slog. Cheryl says, I'm skinny fat, normal BMI, mostly in my tummy area and back bra area. Do I lower calories or fat? Okay, so skinny fat, for those of you that don't know, it basically means like if you took somebody's weight and put them on the weight scale, they would weigh a normal weight, like an appropriate weight for their height. What does that even mean, right? But like their BMI says not overweight. But when you look at their body composition, they have high fat and low muscle. So while the absolute scale number is normal, the ratio is off. They have too much fat and too little muscle for their weight. And we often see the reverse, where somebody's BMI would say that they're overweight, but they're like a goddess, right? I'm not that everyone isn't a goddess, but they're like on Ninja Warrior and they look amazing. And that's because they have more muscle and less fat for the average person their height, right? And so it can skew. So I always say body composition beats BMI hands down every day. Always look at BMI always look at body mass. Always look at body composition. So how much muscle and how much fat you have rather than just BMI. Sure, BMI of 40 tells you something, but a BMI which is a very high BMI, by the way. But if you're like in the mid 20s, that you don't, it can really be skewed, whether you're skinny fat or there's not an opposite term, highly muscled, that can really make BMI almost useless in that range. So if you have low muscle mass and high body fat for your weight, the two things you need to do. So fat and muscle, you remember people will sometimes say, I want to turn my fat into muscle. You can't turn fat into muscle. They are different substances. So I have two different drinks here. They're not the same drink. Now, I guess I could pour them into one glass, right? And that would be like, and this glass isn't getting any bigger. Is this analogy going to work? So this is like, you can think of this as a skinny fat person, right? That their total body, their total weight is one thing, but how much ice there is versus how much drink there is. There you go. Will change the way that composition is. So if someone is skinny fat, and you want a better body composition, you have sort of three options. Add more muscle. So increase your overall weight, but the proportion of fat to muscle changes. Lose some fat, in which case, again, the proportion of fat to muscle will change. Or lose some fat and add some muscle, in which case the proportion will get even better. So there's no way to reduce body fat without losing weight, unless you're just looking to reduce absolute body fat. If you're looking to just reduce, like if you are 30% body fat and you want to be 25% body fat, you could potentially do that just by adding a lot more muscle, right? Fortunately, I have to tell you that adding muscle is much harder than losing body fat. So probably, Cheryl, if you have a lot of, now, one thing I will also say is that as we get older, sometimes we can confuse loose skin for body fat. So make sure you're not making that confusion, that there's actually fat in it. It's not just floopy skin. But if you actually have body fat there, then losing body fat and increasing muscle mass, increasing how much you work out, increasing weightlifting, that kind of thing, not aerobic exercise. That's good for you. That's not going to help here, but increasing your weightlifting, resistance training, and then also cutting calories to lose more body fat along the way. So you're going to try to recomp. So you can recomp by gaining a little bit of muscle, losing a little bit of fat. You might weigh the same on the scale, but the proportion of fat to muscle changes. And you say, do I lower my calories or my fat? So I would say you don't want to lower your protein at all if you're trying to change that body comp. So your only options to lower calories are to lower carbs or to lower fat. And if you are already eating low carb, the only thing left to lower is fat. Well, that's not nice to hear, Nona Grace. I would have punched your doctor in the noggin. Uh, when I had a C-section, the doctor said I would be surprised how much fat I had. Yeah, not helpful at that time. Let's see. Okay, Cheryl says she weight trains. Yeah, I would say just keep on with the weight training, maybe increase the intensity, and if you're trying to recomp, you don't want to go on you don't want to go on an aggressive cut because it's going to hinder your ability to add muscle. So just a slight deficit. So just a slight lowering of the calories and then increasing the weightlifting a bit. So that's what I would say. That's what I would do. Melinda says, is dynamite good for fat loss? I have no idea what dynamite is other than the substance that you use to blow things up. And I would not recommend using that for fat loss because that is violent. And yeah, so I don't think that's what you meant. I think you mean a product. I don't know anything about a product called dynamite. I am skeptical. If it's a fat burner, I am also skeptical. So I would have to Google that. Let's see. Dynamite. I can't spell. Dynamite. Ooh, dynamite fat burner. Hey, Alan. I'm skeptical already. Dynamite force fat metabolizer. Let's look it up. Ooh, it's very, very aggressive label. What's in here? Let's see. Oh, things that are hard to pronounce. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of a traditional fat burner. Oh, I see. Just a joke because it takes a lot to lose weight. I got it. Got it. Okay. See, I took you serious. Um, and no, the product won't help. But yes, dynamiting it off. I hear ya. I hear ya on that. Fat loss is hard. I mean, I try to be honest with this, guys, with you too. Like, if I could snap my fingers and weigh 10 pounds less, I would do it. I would snap my finger a lot. But no, no, it's fine, Melinda. Don't even worry about it. And when I cut my calories significantly more than they are now, I feel like a crazy person, and I don't want to feel like that. And I would rather weigh 10 pounds more than I want to optimally. And then I would like to uh you know feel like a crazy person. So, we all make choices. And I certainly know how to weigh less. I know what would be required of me. I just, we choose to live our lives the way we want to live our lives. I think that's just I'm too old to be that unhappy. Danielle says, "Thank you for answering my question earlier for my Unstuck group. By the way, Keto Unstuck starts in less than a week, so if you want to get in on it, Keto Unstuck. It's in the description. Um, do I give individual macro goals? I find myself getting stressed out tracking, so I was wondering. So I teach you guys how to come up with your macros. So in the class, and then we have a weekly session, and if you want me to walk through it with you, I do. So I don't give you a goal so much as I teach you how to figure it out, because I want you to be able to redo your macros after the program is over. And if anybody needs me to walk through it step by step with them, I do. So that's how I handle that. Because I'm really about, like, teach a man to fish, not give a man a fish in this program, because I want everyone who does my program to come out of my program with, like, a feeling like I know how to handle it now. I know how to fix my stall. I know how to, if I hit a point where I don't see the kind of progress I want in the future, yeah, I absolutely do that. So I want people to learn it more than me just to do it for them. But I hold as many hands as need holding. I'll put it that way. Stephanie says fat loss is really hard, especially when you have PCOS. It's a slow going journey. Lost 8 pounds in 2.5 months. That's not that slow, Stephanie. That's great. 8 pounds over 2.5 months. That's almost a pound a week. I would say that's pretty good. I think we have really unrealistic expectations about what weight loss really looks like. And losing 3/4 of a pound a week is good weight loss. I think we're used to seeing things like My 600-Pound Life on TV or something, where, the doctor's like, you could lose 60 pounds easy this month. But, that's somebody who weighs 500 pounds and they're inflamed as inflamed could be. That's not a lot of us. That's not people who have, um, 30 pounds to lose. You're not going to lose that in a month. It just doesn't happen that way. So I would absolutely say that losing 3/4 of a pound or so a week, I think that should be celebrated, because I think that's, sustainable, useful, and fat loss is hard. It is challenging. Changing the way we eat is challenging. Changing our expectations is challenging. Getting more movement in our day is challenging. Just it's all challenging. There are people who they start like they're eating in a certain way, and then they just make like some small changes, and then, like, they stop drinking soda, and then they lose all the weight they want, right? Like there are some people who it just sort of is easier for. Those are not my people. I am the struggle people. I drive the struggle bus. That's what I do. Suzanne says, I'm close to goal and I haven't lost a pound since December. Probably will not until I bump up the exercising. So, I mean, exercise is great for us in terms of especially weight training, getting more activity, hitting your step goals. Some of the things that I think are super important. I don't really think that like getting into the gym to exercise in terms of cardio. They've done studies and they've seen that when people do that, they get into the gym and do more cardio for a couple of weeks. That can be useful, kind of pushing the needle. But there is something called adaptation that will happen. And they've actually found that if people burn an extra 300 calories in the gym in their workouts, and then they track them over the rest of the day, they burn about 250 calories less because their activity tends to go down the rest of the day. They're a little more tired, they don't fidget as much, they don't move around as much. So for a lot of people, adding more exercise doesn't actually reduce their weight over time, but that's not to discourage exercise, but I think it might be more beneficial to people to monitor more like just their general activity. So like if you're currently moving less than approximately 3 or 4 thousand steps a day, try to get to 10. But don't try to do it all at once. If you're at 3,500 steps a day, go to 45 for the next week. Then the next week, go to 55. Then just keep bumping that up until you are at 10,000 steps. Really, anything over 8,000 is pretty good. But some days you're just going to get stuck at work all day and you can't get your steps in. So if you get 10 on some and 6 on the other, it kind of averages out. So I would say step count and activity level is one of the most beneficial and least painful things we can do to get that needle to move a bit. Um, but yeah, getting that last 10 pounds off, usually for a lot of people is much harder than any other weight loss. And for me, it involves a deficit that I find really uncomfortable. Um, and so it's something that I have to be in a really good space for. And thus far, I've not been in that space for long enough to make the needle move the way that I want it to. So, you know, uh, yeah, Shelly says, can't out exercise a bad diet. Absolutely. You cannot out exercise a bad diet. Now, I will say that you can certainly benefit your overall situation by adding exercise, adding weightlifting, adding activity. Like all of that is going to be good for your health and probably good for weight maintenance. But to do it in a way that is sustainable. So don't add exercise that you're not going to keep doing, right? If you're like, hey, I need to lose weight, I'm going to add the walking X amount to my day. You're going to have to keep that up to keep that weight off, right? So don't add exercise in an unsustainable fashion, is what I would say. Add it in a way that's good for you, good for your life, good for something you want to continue to do. Juju B says, I'm at 7,500. That's pretty good. Want to bump it up. Ankle and knee surgeries. Oof. Yeah, that's a little bit hard. But yeah, moving with intention is very important. I've been exhausted recently. So I've been struggling to get enough steps in. I don't want to nap. Like since I went keto and low carb, I'm really not a napper anymore, but I do just want to zone out all day. I'm like, just stare at the wall for a while. I recently found out I probably need more iron in my life, so we'll see how that helps. Um, I just thought of something. I have to make a note. Hold on. This is what happens when you write books and are a creator. You're like, I need to talk about this topic. It just popped up in my head. I'm gonna make a note of that. These are my favorite pencils. They're like the little roller. It's the Paper Mate Sharp Writer. I love them. But yeah, I think it's really important to be an active human. I mean, I fingers crossed. Oh look, you can see the edge of my little screen. Fingers crossed. I want to, as I age, care a lot more about healthy aging than about the size of my pants, which can include, part of the healthy aging discussion, but I really want to be a fit old person. I was not a fit young person, but I would like to be a fit old person. And so that's one of my long-term goals as I age there, to do that. Jujubee suggests cast iron. You know what? I'm gonna admit something. My boyfriend hates cast iron pots, so we don't have them. I think it's some childhood trauma. But yes, I do agree that cooking your food in cast iron absolutely does bump up the iron content in your food. One of the things I actually looked into was that I think I'm going to bump up my evening vitamin C. So vitamin C helps with iron absorption, and so I love bell peppers and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to add more vitamin C to my evening meal, not in the form of supplement, in the form of high vitamin C foods, um, to see if that increases iron absorption, because I actually do get a fair amount of high iron foods. I love red meat. I did go through a period of being in a chicken phase, and that may have had an impact. So we'll see. But I'm going to focus a little more on red meat and vitamin C at the same time. Melinda says, "Me too on the healthy elder person." Yeah, I think that is a good goal to have. My dad is a very healthy older person. He's about to turn 80, uh, and he has a group of men that bike every Sunday. And as of last year, they're all between like 75 and 85. Last year they decided, like, road bike, like a bicycle, not a motorcycle. But they do it like on pavement. It's not a mountain bike. And last year they all decided that they probably should shift from biking to walking. So they go for a walk together every Sunday now, because they were like, we are now in the hip fracture risk category from falling. My dad fell on the bike last summer. It was like, he was fine, but it scared him because he could have hurt, broken a bone. And so they all now walk. But my dad still goes to the gym 4 times a week. He watches what he eats. He's on it. He's on it. He is a very type A. Very type A person. And he's a bit of a life goal for me. We do not have the same personality around exercise, but he's like, he makes I'm a proud daughter that he does what he does for his health. It's been inspiring, I should say, to watch him. Just like, he's not like a muscle man. He's not lazy, none of that. He's just like stayed consistent, stayed with it. He does his little calisthenics and his little sit-ups and his little things. Um so yeah. Anyway, bragging on my dad. Um but yeah, I think that we can all do more to be healthier. I was lift doing weight. I'll be confession time from Kim. I was being really good about weightlifting, and I got kind of discouraged a couple months ago. I saw, like, I wasn't putting on as much muscle mass as I wanted to, and I got discouraged, and I stopped lifting weights that frequently. And I am like, what the F is wrong with me? See, physician, heal thyself. So I'm going to be honest and say, like, after KetoCon, I've got a recommitment to being in the gym regularly, instead of, but it's a bit hit and miss these days. Because, like, I got discouraged. It's the same thing. Like, it happens with people in their weight. For so many years, when I was almost 300 pounds, I would be like, this is so hard. It's too hard. I can't, I'm not seeing any results. Why even bother? I'm just disappointed in myself all the time. I don't want to be disappointed in myself anymore. I'm going to just stop thinking about it. So I kind of like, let's just bury my head in the sand about the topic. Nah, I got to get back at it. So, though I have not fallen completely off, I have not been as consistent as I want to, and so I'm recommitting for the summer to that. Hey, Palm D, I'm so glad that you caught me live from Japan. What time is it there? I don't even know. That's so far away. I've never been to Japan. We were just talking. I was just talking with my family, and all of us were like, "We should go to Japan." We've never. My parents have been to Japan, but my parents have not been back to Japan since I was a small child, and I am now not a small child. But yeah, when I was a little kid, my dad worked for a company that was very extravagant with their executive travel. And so he's been to my mom and my dad, like when I was a little kid in the 80s, they went like all over the world with these corporate trips. Probably not a surprise that that business went out of business when I was in my early teens. They like to spend money a lot. That was not my dad's call. He worked for them. It was not his company. But anyway, but for a while they were living the high life. I think they even went on the Concorde, the the very fast plane, very fancy. Anyway, yeah, but I've not been to Japan. It's 9:48 on Wednesday. All right, wow. So you're almost a full day ahead of us. No, not a full day because it's in the evening now. So you're almost a half a day ahead of us there. So, wow. All right. Um, but I think Japan is awesome. I think that'd be a great place to visit. Um, all right. Anything else people want? Oh, there we go. Rachel says we are wondering when the Common Sense Labs books will be updated. So, Common Sense Labs, literally in a couple of weeks. So, the basically the current stock, when that sells out, the new book will go into circulation. So it's probably in about a month. See, the problem is when I say that out loud, people will be like, "Oh, wait," and then no, that will never run low on the stock. So I would say give it about a month, and the new book will be out. It's not that different. I'm gonna say it is all that we've changed is we did add a few suggestions of numbers, um, and we corrected. There were some things in the back that were people were saying weren't clear. Um, so we kind of updated a few things and a few ranges, but it's pretty much very similar. But the good news is if you buy or have bought a digital copy, when the update happens, you can get a new digital copy without paying extra. So if you just want then to print the pages that are different, which is not that many pages, you can just print those pages, stick them in your book, and you got an updated version. But we'll probably announce a program that if you want a new book, some special discount for people that bought it before if they want to update that as well. So um we will have that update available for you in about like we'll tell you all the details. If you're on my email list, you'll get that information. Um I will send out emails probably late April about what that all looks like. But I guess the short answer is sometime in May will be when the new books will be ready. Danielle, what's the deadline to sign up for Unstuck? Well, we start on Sunday. The program starts on Sunday, so I would recommend getting signed up by Sunday. That would be my recommendation. Anyone else who wants information, Keto Unstuck is my fix your fat loss problems on keto or off keto. It's low carb, keto, whatever, carnivore. The link is in the description or wherever that is on your watching. And it is going to start on Sunday, it's actually going to run for 9 weeks. It's an 8-week program, but it's going to run for 9 weeks this time because of me being on a cruise ship for one of the weeks. And we will, see great weight loss for people. And as I've said to people, if you don't see success and you tried your darned hardest, I'll give you your money back. I don't want your money if it didn't work for you, but it works for everybody that applies the rules and doesn't have, something else that came up. And so I just want people to be successful. That's what I want. Will I have some books at KetoCon? Yes, we will. Dr. Barry and I will have books at KetoCon, not on our body, but there will be a booth. They are currently en route. I can't guarantee that they have not been stolen off of a truck, but I assume they will be there. So there will be some books, some Common Sense Labs books, and you can get them signed at KetoCon. There's also going to be some copies of Nisha and my cookbook. So both those things should be at KetoCon. We had no idea how many to order, so hopefully we have enough, but they will be there. All right, guys, everybody have a fabulous week. I will see you next Tuesday. I will be doing my normal Tuesday live, but I'll already be in Austin. But I will be doing that live from Austin. Bye, guys.